We got a presentation. It's going to take about 25 minutes, give or take. You got any questions while we're going through this or while I'm going through this, just ask. This is, it's an informational meeting. It's, if you got, we can start a discussion, get some valuable information going while it's going on. That's the whole point of it. So feel free to just ask questions. If you're a little shy or you just want to wait till the end, we'll have time at the end to, pull myself aside and ask questions, or we can jot notes and double back. So without further ado, this is the public meeting for Granite Street. Granite Street is a pretty large project for, I guess, the city of Wapaka, and it's not just Granite Street itself. So this is the project, what's highlighted up there altogether. So Granite Street is, of course, the main piece of it, thus the name, from Harrison Street or 49 all the way down to Main Street. Items of work on there, we're going to redo the road. Obviously the pavement is in pretty poor condition. We're going to replace that. A lot of curb and gutter that's in substandard condition. We're going to replace that. Sidewalks, we're going to replace the water main the whole way from Harrison all the way to Main Street. And then we have some sanitary sewer that we're going to be doing some repairs on as well. Now the sidewalk and curb and gutter will not be the whole stretch, but only where needed. And I'll get into that in a minute here. The green shade, that's the parking lot. So on the corner of Washington and Granite, that again, the pavement's just going to be replaced. We're going to remove that concrete wall. We're going to restripe it, and it'll be a nice new parking lot. And then finally, the alleyways from Badger up to Granite on the west side of Main will all be redone. Pavement and also the storm sewer there. We have some drainage issues. So the combination of upgrading our storm sewer plus repaving, it's going to take care of a lot of those issues back there. So what can you expect? Here's a picture of Evans Street. This was our project last year. So on the left is, well, before, I should probably put during. We're going to come in, rip up the road. It's going to be turned to gravel. It's a little rough, but it's traversable. There's access there. You can see people have garbage cans out, so people are still living, going about their day. But it's certainly going to be an inconvenience to you. I mean, it's construction, no bones about it. But we're here to try and alleviate those concerns and to make your life, well, as least amount of impact as possible. But when we get through this whole thing, at the end, this is what you'll have on the other side after. A nice new black road. It's going to be smooth. It's going to drain well. We're going to have brand new infrastructure that should last. Certainly, my tenure here. Oh, and I forgot to mention Roger Hansen, our street superintendent's in the audience here. Roger and I will be your point of contact for this project before, during, and even after if needed. So I have my cards over there. I forgot to mention that right away. Roger's here, very knowledgeable. So some of the more specific work items, picture of Lake Street here is a very similar project, sidewalk. So we replaced only the sidewalk that needed to be replaced. So when the condition is bad, we replace it. Or if the slopes are unfavorable, such as, we need to reach ADA standards, which is Americans with Disabilities Act standards. So there's a certain slope they have to be. When those are out of whack or the condition is bad, that's when we're going to replace those slabs of concrete. If they're in good condition, everything's fine, we're not going to replace those. Curb and gutter, again, we have a lot of it out there that's in bad condition. When it is needed, we're going to replace the curb and gutter. New pavement, of course, we're looking to make a brand new road here. So that will be all ripped up and replaced with the project. And then finally, access. I'll be touching on access. How do you get to and from your house? Probably a couple different times through this presentation. Here you can see an active construction zone. It's a paving crew, but there's a lane open there. You can get through. The other thing to note is there's construction crews there. They're people just like you and I. You can go up to them and ask them if you can get through, and they'll give it to you straight. Yep, you can get through. Stay here. Be careful. Or nope. Or hey, give us 2 hours. We'll be out of here, and then you can go about your business. So it's important thing to remember that they're a construction crew, they have a job to do, but they're still people. So the communication can still be there with them, and of course, with us here at the city. So underneath the road, we have our storm sewer, which is highlighted in orange, and then our sanitary sewer, which is in the green. The storm sewer, which collects the rainwater off the road and just sends it away, that is going to be replaced pretty much the whole stretch of the way where we have it. So that'll be new when the project's done. Shouldn't have any more puddles up there. Sanitary sewer, that is everything that goes down your drain, transfers it down to the treatment plant. That is not going to be done the traditional method of trenching, disturbing the road, trenching it up, and replace it in place, but instead we're using newer technology called cast-in-place pipe, or CIPP. That's going to be happening actually within the next couple of weeks. What you can expect is a crew to show up. Should look like something like this. You're going to have a couple trucks. They're going to be cone off the manholes, and they're going to be feeding this tube down the manholes and into the sewer lines. Now what they do, excuse me, is they send this tube down there, and then they fill in concrete between the pipe and this tube, and then they heat it with water and cure it in place. Now while this is going on, we're asking that you use little to no sewer preferably during this time frame. Before it happens, we'll provide the notification. We'll give you several days to plan, prepare for this, and we'll identify like the dates and times of when it's going to happen. Most likely it's going to be during normal business day times, so like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're hoping most people are just off at work and they don't have to use their water. If you usually set like a timer on your washer, wash machine, or dishwasher, what have you, we'd ask that that don't happen, because if it does and they're performing this work, you could have backups. But the whole point of it is, so on the left side, the before, kind of what our pipe looks like now. We have an old clay pipe. It's got a lot of cracks in it, has roots. That's very often that tree roots get into the sewer pipes and just make things worse. We have some debris buildup. Once they're all done, they're going to clean it. They're going to add this liner. It's going to be basically a brand new pipe once again. We won't even have to dig into the road and make life miserable for everyone, just small little inconvenience at the top. Okay, another big aspect of the project is the water main. So again, from Harrison to Main Street, the water main is over 100 years old. It's cast iron pipe, meaning that it's an old brittle pipe and it's time to replace it. So that's been identified to replace along with the service lines and the hydrants. I have, let's cue this up, a video from Lake Street. Well, what the video was going to show you, excuse me?
Do you want the other one or no?
No, that's, thank you. This drone was going to fly around this construction zone here, and I was just going to point out the things. So that's Lake Street. It's in gravel. There's materials there. There's equipment there. You can use the side roads to go to and from your house. But the main point was, you know, when we got closer to the construction crew themselves, you have two backhoes there, a bulldozer, some other equipment. It's basically like a 300 to 500 foot disaster area. I mean, it's something that you don't want to try and drive through. We'd ask you wouldn't try to like walk through. But you know, there is a way around in either direction. And the crews will do the notification, like I said before. They'll come up, knock on your door. Hey, we got to shut off your water. You know, do you have to get out of your driveway? We're going to be in front of your house in the next 2-3 hours. You know, and that's all done prior to, so you can plan out your day. You know, and they'll work with you. You work with them. What they're doing, we could have got a closer look had this thing worked. They're just going through the road. They're ripping out the old pipe, putting in a new pipe, and then they're doing the service lines at the same time. If you look closely, there's one on the right side where the service line is put in. The sidewalk's been removed, and now it's just up to gravel. The one on the left side, where it's an open trench, they just got done connecting the pipe, and they're filling the hole up. So I kind of lost my thunder when my video wouldn't play. So the big driver for doing it, besides just the pipe being old, is we know we have some lead components in our water system. City of Waupaca is actually not as bad as some other communities, because what we know we have are lead goosenecks. That's the picture on the left. What a lead gooseneck is a 2 to 3 foot lead pipe that connects the main to the service lines. They used that a lot back in like the 40s and a little before that, because lead is a flexible metal. And it was easy to make a tap, bend it where they wanted, finish the connection the way they went. Well, back then, well, we know what we know now. We should not have done it, but it's in the ground, and we're trying to take care of it. So we're going to come through and rip out our side. Other sources of lead, now this is just a picture from, I think I got it from like a rural water website. If your house was built prior to the mid-'80s, there's a chance the lead solder could be there. Older fixtures might have lead in them, but as you renovate your house, a lot of those things have been removed. It's just important to kind of note that's where you could have potential sources of lead exposure. The city wants to take care of our side, and we're asking for basically cooperation with replacing these service lines. Now, the reason why we're doing that is because the DNR highly recommends that if you're going to replace a service line, you do the whole thing from the main all the way into the house to the meter. They say partial replacements, even though a small part of that is lead, could lead to increased lead levels. So in response to that, the DNR has created a fund, lead service line fund, which the city sought and had received money. We used it on Lake Street. We have some left over for Granite Street here now. We're just kind of waiting for the bids to come in and see where the chips lie. So I did send out this letter to all the residents about, hey, do you want your lead service line replaced? And basically, if you want it replaced and utilize this funding from the DNR, you check the box yes, you turn it in. If you don't want to, I mean, it's a free country, you don't have to agree to it. You check the box no, and then just turn it back in, but I need that record in order, I guess, to say yes or no. If you say no, what we need to do, though, is get into your house and test the water after the project is over with. So that is a DNR requirement where they want to see those tests done after it's complete. Now, if it comes back and the level is high, they're going to make you replace your line anyways. If it comes back fine, then everything's right with the world and it's fine. The other thing we'd ask for is just to flush your water if you elected not to. That's a free service. We just schedule something with you. We'd come in, flush your water, give you the water credit, or not charge you for that water, just to make sure if there's any residual lead particles in the line, that they just get flushed out. I need to note, though, that the service line fund, it's a limited fund. We think we have enough money secured for the project, but I guess we don't know until we actually get the bids in. I probably sent this letter out maybe a little early. I should explain that a little bit better. So if you've already turned in your letter saying you want to, certainly we'll be in contact after the bids come in for the project, and we'll have to discuss. Anything that the DNR does not cover, the property owner would have to, and we can do that a couple different ways. They can either just pay for it, or we can assess it to your property through the tax bill, which follows the assessment process, which I'm going to get into now. So assessments and other work, the sidewalk is a 50-50 cost share on that sidewalk when it's replaced. So again, if it's in the bad condition where it needs to be replaced because of the condition, we're going to do an assessment on that. And again, per ordinance, it's 50-50. We've done that on every project, every year, and that's just our process. We follow the assessment ruling through the state. So basically, we come out, we measure it, we send you a letter with an estimate that says we believe the replacement cost is going to be X amount of dollars. It could be $200, $300, $400, up to, it depends on how much sidewalk you have. And then there'll be on there, there'll be a public hearing right here in the council chambers. Notification of that will be sent out to the newspapers and to the property owners, and then you'll have your chance to come to the public hearing and voice either comments, concerns, what have you, to the common council at that time. which is going to be probably a month or more down the road at this point. Then council will vote on it, and that'll be the final say. If they vote yes, the assessments occur. Curb and gutter, now there's a lot of it that we will be replacing. That's 100% on the city. Driveway replacements. We have a number of driveways we're calling out on the plan to replace. Now, if it's on our design plans, we're going to pay for 100%. So if we're changing things on the road and it requires your driveway to have to be replaced, that's on us. If it's not on the plan, but you want your driveway replaced, that's 100% on the property owner, which occurs quite a bit on our projects because we have contractors that are there, they're available. It can be a pretty good, efficient use of cost, just being, contractors already there doing the work. You can get a pretty good deal for that, and we work with the contractors, we work with you, and just make sure it gets done right.
Justin?
Yep.
You mean the driveway from the sidewalk to the road?
Yes, thank you. That's the portion of the driveway within the right-of-way, such as between the curb and gutter and the sidewalk. That's 100% city. Sewer and water mains, all those replacements are 100% by the city utilities. Carriage walks. Now there are some carriage walks out there. Now what a carriage walk is that small piece of concrete in between the sidewalk and the curb and gutter. If we remove the curb, we're going to remove the carriage walk because it's just not going to line up properly anymore. If we remove that, we're not replacing it. And the reason for that is because those carriage walks basically promote pedestrian movement into an uncontrolled road or environment like within a roadway. We want pedestrian movements in the crosswalks. So it's a health and safety issue, and basically the city has done it this way for a number of years, as far as I'm aware. And if you're wondering, if you're concerned about that, the plan is here to find and see if that's going to happen to you. Talk to me, we'll work it through. Staging. So when Granite Street occurs, we're going to come in and we're going to shut it down to through traffic. So Harrison, Main, and all the side rounds will be shut down to through traffic. Local traffic will be allowed, but through traffic will not. Now that'll be from the start of it all the way until we're finished. The road is 100% complete, then we'll open it up. The parking lot will be much the same, except for we're going to try and limit that disturbance because there's overnight parking there. We don't want to open it up, let people come in, then have to close it on an intermittent basis. We think that's just going to cause confusion. So we're just going to do that much the same way as Granite Street. The alleyways will be a little different. Those will be staged, such as we're going to work with the contractors to make sure that they do basically like a block at a time. They come in, rip up the road, they'll shut down that section for when they need it, open it up, move to the next section, shut it down. The reason for that is because the downtown businesses rely on deliveries back there, garbage pickups, and it's a much tighter area where you really can't get through even if there is work going on. Unlike Granite Street, which is a much wider roadway, you can still get around and traverse. Schedule. We don't know the exact dates of when this is going to start and end. What we do know is we're going to be advertising for bids here in the next week through the end of March, and then our bid opening is on April 2nd. Now that's the day when the bids will come from the contractors, we'll open them up, we'll see who's the low, we'll see where the numbers line up, and then we'll start communicating with that contractor. Okay, when do you want to start? When are you going to quit? How are you going to work this out? And obviously, we're going to work with them to try and limit the disturbance as much as possible. We have a provision in our specifications that once they start, they can't just up and leave and come back later. They got to keep making progress every day during, I guess, the working schedule of the project. Once we know more of that information, we're going to relay it. But based on past projects, usually it's going to be like an early May start and probably will be wrapped up around end of August. Other items, now garbage pickups. I want to know when garbage comes through and picks up for your service. What day of the week is it usually on Granite Street?
Tuesdays and Fridays.
Tuesdays and Fridays, back alleyways, garbage?
From
Friday? Okay. Okay,
Two
well,
different garbage companies.
yeah, yeah,
Mine comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
okay.
Just a garbage truck running on the almost every day, yes.
Justin,
Yes.
the bigger issue with the garbage is gonna be, that's a four-time-a-day bus route. Main bus route for that end of town, with all the kids up in that. Just so you know.
Yep, yep, and I probably should have that on there, but those, I got mail deliveries on here. It's part of the outreach that we do. So we try to work with the garbage companies, let them know what's going on so they can work a way around it. Or we work around them sometimes. Mail delivery is the same way, let the post office know. I don't see issues with delivery. They might have to, if they use the truck, come up the side streets and then walk a little bit. And then the bus route, yeah, we talk with the busing company, give them a heads up. But, you know, it's, at this point, once we know the actual schedule, then we can, you know, communicate those things more clearly to those businesses, those entities, so. Street trees, we've identified 4 trees to be removed. There is 2 on the west end, right next to Harrison Street. There's a big old silver maple right next to Scott Street, and then there's another one on the south side of Granite. These a couple of them are in bad condition, the other ones just have to go. When we've done that, we've replaced them upon the request of the property owners. So if you like if you lose a tree and you want it replaced, certainly we do that. We just put your name on the list, give you a new tree the next spring. So yeah, it's pretty much wrapping it up. So the sign-in sheet again, communication. You know, that's our tool to communicate with you. If you put your email addresses down, I've in the past done like mass emailings, like once a week of where the project progress, where we've been, where we're going the next few weeks, updates on scheduling. So if you want to receive those, put your email down. Otherwise, we're here to ask or to take on any more questions. So yeah, that kind of concludes the presentation part of it, and just kind of open it up. And if you have no questions, you can leave. Otherwise, we're here for you.